Check, can you guys hear me? Yes. Cool. All right. The year was 2020. She was 25 and invincible, working close to 16 hours a day and eating and drinking like there was no tomorrow. Like many of us at this age, this woman functioned on just 4 hours of sleep and pretended that walking 2,000 steps a day to work was the only exercise that her body needed. Climbing up the corporate ladder and partying her way through life, this woman truly believed that she was the queen of the world, that she had it all. Until one fine day. It was 2 a.m. She had just finished up her shift for the day when she realized all of a sudden that she couldn't breathe. This young woman thought she was having a heart attack and she was rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, she was told that her heart rate had been over 250. This was the first of her many panic attacks. Overnight, she was diagnosed with high blood pressure, hypertension, high cholesterol, polycystic ovarian disease, irritable bowel syndrome, and diseases she never thought her body was even capable of harboring. Not only did she weigh 100 kilos at this point, but she started taking more medication than her 60-year-old parents. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce myself because that woman was me. This was followed by a series of panic attacks, and that was when I realized that this was it. It was now or never. I made the decision to quit my work and focus solely on my health. But how do I go from where I am to where I'm supposed to be? I knew for a fact that there was never a one-size-fits-all approach, but there were two obvious answers in front of me: exercising and dieting. As someone who had never really, engaged in any physical activity in my whole life, who had never exercised before, I actually found it a lot easier than I thought it would be. But the toughest change that I had to make in my life was in my diet, because honestly, I live to eat. The point of like a fad diet or a crash diet, I could not even fathom it because food is life, right? This was when I stumbled upon the concept of sustainable nutrition. Now I want to ask you this one question. Is your idea of healthy eating holding you back from eating healthy? Confused? Let me try and elaborate. If I had forced myself to give up the foods that I had loved, I'm pretty sure I would have given up the journey within the first few weeks itself. The idea of eating bland, restrictive, repetitive meals did not and still doesn't appeal to me. Instead, I focused on the basic concept of sustainability, which is moderation. I followed 3 easy concepts. The first thing being macro-friendly. Macro-friendly meant that you need to eat the right ratio of macronutrients on your plate: proteins, fats, and carbs. So I didn't need any extra fancy food for this, just using ghar ka khana, dal, chawal, sabzi, roti, arranged on my plate in the right ratio according to my body type and body goals. The second thing that I did, which I think was the most important change that I brought about in my life, was going into a calorie deficit diet. My goal at that point was to lose weight, and I needed to burn more calories than I ate in a day. If suppose my goal had been to gain weight, I should have eaten more calories than I burnt in a day. And how I did this was, yes, by reducing my portion size, but mainly by changing my mindset while eating. Instead of asking myself, am I full once I finished eating, I started asking myself, am I no longer hungry? We don't realize very often there is a huge gap between actually being no longer hungry and being stuffed. Finally, I think this worked really well for me because I did have access to a kitchen at this point. I started making healthier versions of just great tasting food right at home. Pizza, shawarma, masala dosa, brownies, you name it. I took a little extra time and effort to make it at home. What surprised me was that it was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Yes, maybe it took a little more effort than just clicking on Swiggy and Zomato, but the end result was definitely worth it. And finally, for the burning calories bit, yes, I did work out 4 to 5 times a week, 1 hour a day. And more importantly, I think this works best if your goal is weight loss. I try to clock about 10,000 steps on most days. Why didn't I follow a crash or a fad diet? I mean, other than the obvious reasons, which is that food is love. The thing about these crash or fad diets is that while you lose weight fast, they are also equally capable of making you gain the weight you lost back in double, twice as fast. Simply put, they are unsustainable. Also, you lose weight, but you also lose muscle mass, you lose energy, and definitely your mental peace. It's a cycle of deprivation followed by overindulgence and then a lot of regret, which is just really harmful for your physical and mental health as well. Sustainable nutrition, on the other hand, focuses on building habits and consistency. It's about, eating in a way that really works for your body, and it's not about any extreme restriction or perfection. The focus is not just attaining a number on the weighing scale or getting ripped or shredded by the end of next month. The focus is achieving a healthier you today, tomorrow, and years later. Now, this next bit that I talk about is a major obstacle that I had to overcome. There is so much information out there on the internet. How do you know what is true, what is not? Myths versus facts. And I want to break down 3 common ones that I encountered in my journey. The first one was that dieting is expensive. We've all been made to believe that we need to buy fancy ingredients and expensive things in order to eat right. Grass-fed whey protein, free-range organic eggs, extra cold-pressed virgin oils and nut-free, grain-free, whatnot, right? And if you're living in hostels and PGs, you must be thinking access to good food itself is a myth, let alone good nutrition. But in all honesty, I want to tell you that that's not entirely true. You can make the best of what you have. You need to understand a few easy concepts to work around with. So the first thing that you can do is instead of filling your plate randomly, like suppose you're living in a PG or in the mess, you go to the cafeteria, instead of just randomly filling your plate with whatever is available, be mindful of the ratio you're filling it in. So an ideal ratio for you would be a 1/4 of carbs. That could be your rice, dosa, idli, upma. 1/4 of protein, be it eggs, paneer, chicken, up to a certain extent even dal and curd. And finally, the remaining half of your plate, try and fill with sabzi. It can be like a gravy, it can be dry, it can be salad. You're trying to make the best of what you have, and at this point, trust me, it will work. The second change that you need to be more mindful about is that you need to try and limit deep fried items and sugary food. I know it's hard because they taste the best clearly, but they are filled with a lot of excess sugar, empty calories, bad fats, and just not good for you. So be mindful and try and find healthier snack options and stay away from them. The second myth, all fats are bad for you, or that fats make you fat. Did you know that 2 of the longest living and healthiest communities in the world hail from parts of Italy and Japan? Interestingly, the community in Japan, they consume less than 15% of their daily macronutrient intake as fats, whereas the community in Italy consumes more than 65% of fats daily. And yet they lead long lives, they have no complaint of heart disease, they have low issues of metabolic syndrome. So what does this tell us? Clearly, not all fats are harmful. The type of fat matters far more than the quantity. So what is good and what is bad? Unsaturated fats, commonly consumed in areas of the Mediterranean coast like Italy, found in nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocado. These fats are actually good for you. They support your heart health and you can consume them. The second thing which you need to be maybe a little more wary about is that you need to try and stay away from all trans fats. Trans fats are found in what? Deep fried items, chips. And the second thing is excess amounts of saturated fats, which are found in like butter, cream, and cheese. These things are not great for your health, so try and limit it. You don't need to avoid fats altogether. Just figure out what is right and eat that instead. Refrigeration or freezing removes the nutrients from food. Did you know that when we actually leave food out, we lose more nutrients to heat, light, and air? Refrigeration or freezing slows down that process. Frozen vegetables and fruits are actually frozen almost right after they're picked, preserving a large amount of nutrients inside. And why does this refrigeration matter in this whole concept of healthy eating? For most of us, with a budget, time, or a resource constraint, refrigeration or freezing helps greatly. It avoids food waste, helps you in meal prep, and you can eat throughout the week well without having to go and shop every single day. So no, you don't actually lose a lot of nutrients through refrigeration. I spoke so much about sustainable nutrition, but how do you do it? How do you start, right? And the first and most important, I think, piece of advice that I can give you is you need to start small. Suppose you have a tendency to reach for a bar of chocolate. Instead of reaching for that, you should reach for try reaching for a bar of fruit. Suppose you have a habit of drinking like a sugary can of soda. Try and reach for maybe a glass of buttermilk or tender coconut water. You are a big fan of eating, say, dosas, and right now you're consuming 4 dosas a day. Instead of waking up tomorrow and saying, I am no longer going to eat any of this, try and reduce your portion size slowly. Say maybe cut it down to 3 and then 2 going forward. And if you are trying to gain weight, you need to start including more nutrient and calorie-dense ingredients into your diet a little by little. Small steps go a very long way. The second thing, which is clearly my favorite thing to do, is make healthier versions of your favorite food at home if and when you have access to a kitchen. I'm sure most of us here love eating things like pasta. But instead of buying store-bought sauces, adding a lot of butter and cream to it, you can just blend some veggies and paneer into the sauce. And trust me, the end result actually tastes good. Secondly, if you have sugar cravings, you just need to order that brownie. Take 5 minutes for yourself and make an easy dessert and use natural sweeteners like dates and bananas. Because like I said, you really won't be able to tell that much of a difference in the end result. It is worth it. It will satisfy your craving. This is a very interesting concept for all the cereal snackers here. Cereal snackers, one being me, as in I have a tendency to snack all the time. You're sitting on your desk and you're either like reading a book or you're scrolling through your phone and you have a bowl of like say grapes right in front of you and a little ahead, maybe more than an arm's length distance, there's a bowl of chips. Clearly you like chips better, but because you're so engrossed in that activity, you will end up eating grapes more. This is called the nudge theory, and it is a proven concept not just in nutrition but in many aspects of life. So how do we apply this to our life? If you have a snacking tendency, stop stocking things like cookies, chips, and things you know are bad for you, and instead opt for healthier alternatives. I'm a big fan of things like makhane, which I think is far healthier than eating deep fried chips. You can also buy, say, like I said, tender coconut water, buttermilk instead of drinking sugary sodas. So try nudging yourself in the right direction if you know that you have a snacking tendency. And finally, set realistic goals. This, I cannot stress the importance of this. What really worked in my favor this time around when I finally went through this journey was that in the first month, I set a target of losing just 2 kilos. The end result, I actually lost 5 kilos that first month. But what I did was I did not set myself up for disappointment. I exceeded my expectations, and this motivated me to keep going. If you're trying to say lose 10 kilos in 2 weeks or get a six-pack by the end of the month, not only are you setting a very unrealistic and almost unattainable goal, you're also putting a lot of mental pressure on yourself, which might rebound in a very wrong way. So set sustainable goals and try and achieve it. Before I wrap up, I think I want to address a problem which we still face, which I spoke about, which is misinformation versus information. We get so much information out there and it is easy to feel overwhelmed and confused, but there are ways to navigate it. Firstly, don't believe anything you see blindly. We live in a world where you get WhatsApp forwards from like our family, news flash alerts on shorts, Instagram reels and YouTube shorts telling that this is bad for you, this is bad for you, this is good for you. How do you know, right? So there is a way to read it. It might take a little more effort, but that is the way we can figure out if the information is actually correct. Instead of just reading that piece of, say, news article, go and research the source of it. So usually it will be linked at the end of that news article, the scientific article from where this was picked up. Most of these articles, which make a big splash on the headlines, are actually based on small-scale studies done on rodents in extreme conditions, very different to our living conditions. Also, if you have, say, maybe 5 minutes extra to spare and you really want to know more about a topic, research something called a meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis actually combines findings of multiple studies done on the same topic. And it is not as hard as you think it is. Simply copy-paste the summary of this meta-analysis into ChatGPT and it will break it down for you. Finally, I want you to think of, start thinking of healthy lifestyle, nutrition, diet, exercise, not as a short-term trade or investment, but more like your long-term or retirement plans, because trust me, it will be worth it. Finally, I just want to ask you this question one more time. Is your idea of healthy eating still holding you back from eating healthy? Thank you.